Is that wrong? 2000 or 05?
Yes, 6.
Okay, well, I was close. I wasn't too far off.
2006.
Okay. All right. All right. Hold on. I'm going to start introducing our panelists for today. I didn't think you were going to start with Pam, Michael.
I'm sorry, Pam. You were at the top. You're at the top of my Zoom here. That's why I did it. You can start with whoever you like.
Yeah, start wherever you like.
All right.
Rita.
Okay. Well, first of all, my son is a panelist. He's also he's hosting with me as well, but he is also a panelist. So allow me to introduce Michael first.
Okay. Hi.
Michael has been in the industry. He got his real estate license in 1997 and became a broker in 99. And he's been a top producer, I think, for the last 21 years. So if I could introduce Michael Berdelis.
That's me.
The
Hi.
24-hour agent, right?
All right. Yes, that's me.
Okay.
All right.
And all right, since I see Andi at the top here of mine, but I will allow me to introduce Armando next. I haven't seen Armando. Are you there, Armando?
He's not on. So skip him for a sec.
Okay, I will skip Armando. Okay, Andi. Andi has been with us, I believe, 13 years. Am I right?
14.
I missed a year, Andi. I apologize. So you've been in since 06, same as
Pam.
Same as Pam. Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that. But anyway, okay. Andi is, let's see, your slogan, Andi, is making things happen. No?
Making great things happen.
Making great things happen. Okay. Miss Adriana, right? Andriana or Adriana?
Andriana.
And Andriana Grant. Making great things happen. Welcome, Andi. Yay!
Hello, Andriana.
Yes.
I learned something today.
And Andi, when I interviewed you, what did I tell you? Do you remember when I interviewed you?
You said you have the it factor or something like that.
I
one.
did.
Yeah.
I said you have it.
It. That's it.
And you will. I said you will make it in this business, right?
Yeah.
I guess I was right, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to everyone, Andi.
You became a mentor to me. Thank you.
Yes, I did. You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. Okay. Well, some things are a pleasure. Let's move on to Frank Moreno. Not everything.
Thank you, Rita.
Frank has been with this company from basically day one, almost. He has been with us 26 years this December, and right from the start. And he, even though I joke with him, he has always been a pleasure. And I always
She's joking now.
Now I'm joking. I'm getting serious, Frank. So there are a few agents, and don't ask me who they are, but there are a few agents that if I had to sell real estate and I didn't have a license, I would go to that person. And Frank is on that list.
Thank you.
I have the utmost respect for him. And I think the funniest story between me and Frank, we hired a Greek agent a while back, and because Frank teases me all the time, we were standing in the bullpen, and he started teasing me about something. And this guy, I thought this guy was going to deck Frank. You remember that, Frank?
I remember.
I saw his face, and I said, "Oh my God, hold on, Frank's kidding," because he thought he was disrespecting me. I said, "No,
I was.
Yeah, but you disrespect me on a regular basis." So
You think I'm kidding, but
no, you're kidding. You're my kid. You're one of my kids, and you're 4 years older than I am. That was a challenge to have you.
How'd you do that?
I know, that's pretty good, huh? Anyway, all right, thank you, and welcome to Frank Moreno to the veteran panel. Yay. I can't take
Hey.
it. We don't
All right,
have any
what's the
applause
step?
here. It drives me crazy.
Okay,
Okay.
hello.
And
And
now Marie Picarelli
What
and
is the
I,
name of your niece
What,
or
Frank?
cousin again? I don't know.
That's not me.
I have an easy time.
It's
That
Peter.
was Peter.
it's not you.
I muted him.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
Marie Picarelli and I, Marie's worked for our company since '01. Is that right, Marie? I think '01. But she's been in the industry since Michael was born, 1976. And she's been 44 years, almost 45 years in the business. And we work together at Century 21. And she's a pleasure to know and to work with. I never laughed so hard in my life when we worked together at Century 21. And she is probably one of the most knowledgeable people in our office, including commercial real estate. She's very knowledgeable. And I love Marie and welcome Marie. Yay. Okay. Now, Pam, I didn't say it about Michael, but I will say it about you. You're second generation. I had the pleasure of working with your mother, Mary Jane Lee, at Century 21. And then she came to work for us. And I worked with you, I guess, too, Pam, for a short time, right? At Century 21. And her mom came to work for us. And when her mother became ill, Pam is the best daughter on earth and took care of her mom and helped her mother in the business and got her license just so she could help her mom. That's I think the nicest thing you can say about anyone is that she was there for her mom literally until her dying day. And we still miss Mary Jane. I still miss her, but she left the best behind, and we love you, Pam, very much. I don't know why somebody else popped up on my screen, but anyway, hi, Pam, and welcome
Hi,
to the
Rita.
panel. I
Thank
can't
you
believe
for
you're
the kind words.
you're the best, girl. You're the best. And you were, I can't believe you're a veteran agent. I know, who knew, right? But
You could add them.
yeah, I know, right? Pam is also of different people in our office. She is probably the most well-versed in probate real estate law. She does a lot of probate transactions and she's very well-versed. So I like to let people know what our agents are good at and what their specialty is, if there is one. And Pam is excellent at probate law. Right, Pam? A lot of probate, right?
Thank you. I've done a lot of it. It's hard to say that you're excellent at something when you say it yourself, but thank you. I've been around a bunch of it.
It's okay.
So.
It's okay if I say it, right? You are an expert. If the only thing you're missing is a law degree, and I think you don't need it. You're very, very knowledgeable. Anyway, okay. Did I forget anyone, Michael?
Armando is on the line.
Okay, Armando, the late Armando Martinez, right?
Yes.
Where is he? I don't see him. Where are you?
He's there.
He's there?
Here, I'm gonna unmute him for a second.
Okay.
Maybe you'll go to the top.
Hey, look at that.
Yes, I'm here.
Look at that handsome guy that I hired. That 19-year-old kid I hired so many years ago. That's
All those
14
years
years
ago.
too. 14?
That's right.
14 years. Okay. A lot of things happened 14 years ago in our office, right? Anyway,
Yes.
I hired Armando for the front desk, and then I quickly moved him. I think I moved you to escrow,
Mhm,
right?
That's right.
Didn't I do that?
And
then
I was a
before I
receptionist
knew
there.
it, what? What'd you say?
I was a receptionist at escrow net.
Yes. And at front desk at 24-hour too, right? That's how you started. And I think I moved you, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And before I knew it, my son snatched you away. And you've been the best thing to ever happen to Michael and to our office. And I welcome Armando, who's not a kid anymore. He's a husband and a father and a great agent.
Thank you. Such a lovely introduction. And yeah, Michael and I, real match made in heaven. So thank you for that.
Okay. Uh-oh, my Zoom meeting, what happened?
We're here. We don't see you, but
Somebody's
we hear
trying to
you.
call me. Somebody's trying to call me, I
Oh.
think. Okay.
Okay. All right. So can
All
I,
right.
can I, you want to start with a question or should I?
Is it okay if I do it or
Go for it.
Michael?
Go for it. Yep.
Okay. This morning I added a question that I feel I know it's at the top of my mind, and to anyone on here, anyone that's surviving this business right now with the pandemic, and we've been deemed essential, and many of you are really not only thriving, you're succeeding, I mean, to the top. It's I congratulate all of you that are out there working. Yes, somebody say something.
I don't know. It's good.
I don't know. I don't know who I'm hearing. Okay. This is the question I asked. How are all of you veterans, how are you all handling the mental and emotional aspects of the pandemic? And then the craziness of our election. How are you handling it mentally, emotionally? That's a lot to deal with. How are you staying upbeat and positive amid all the chaos and fear? Who wants to take that? Michael?
Okay.
I
I
can
will.
pick on my kid.
That's fine. I think the biggest thing, I do know people that have taken this hard, that worry about it, worry about the election, and that it, in both cases, that it almost overwhelms them, or just, it's on their mind all the time. And I don't know, for me, I just keep going. I just put it to the back and keep going. And I don't let it worry me, because all I can do is take care of me and take care of my own business, my own family, and what I'm doing. So I can only control those things. So I just keep going. So, that's in terms of when you said mental and emotional, that's why I said that.
Okay. And anyone else want to take that question? Are you having any of the veterans, any of you having clients that are fearful about going out? And you've had to deal with that, their emotional well-being.
No, I think in the beginning it was really crazy because it was the unknown. Because even for myself, I just stopped because we don't know what's going on. So for the most part, it's just about education. We know there are things that are keeping you safer than, as far as habits. So for the most part, I haven't really had that. If anything, they're ready to get out. This is giving them something to do, and people want backyards now, so they're ready to buy, or people are ready to sell to be closer to family, because now they if you're not in the same household, you're not able to hang out together. So I'm hearing people now discuss downsizing just so that they can, buy something with family just to be together, so this never happens again for them.
So they're afraid it may happen again another time. Yeah. Okay. Frank, have you had, sorry to pick on the older guy, but do you have any older clients that have had issues?
Not really. I really haven't had any problems as far as what COVID has done, except for the hassle of having to complete PEDS and, wear all PPE and stuff when you go out. But people are willing to do it because, like Andi said, people want to move. They want to take advantage of the low interest rates and, get out and get something.
Okay, so
It is crazy.
I think, so in other words, if I can put this all together, it's business as usual for most of you with the dealing with some of the restrictions and the guidelines they've given us to do business. So it's basically business as usual. And we're not worried about things that we can't control. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
Because there's tons of people that still want to buy and sell. That's
Right. And that's our job to do that. Just as if we were a grocery store for houses, right? The grocery people. Are you turning me off, Frank? Did you just turn me? I saw you do that, Frank. Did you do that? Was that intentional? Okay, Michael, do you want to
Jennifer was interrupting me,
ask the
so I
next
had to
question?
put my hand up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Michael, you want to go with the next question?
okay. All right. I guess I will stay on this theme. With regard to this year, has there been any outstanding, or the way I wrote it was, has there been any comeback win for you, or any really good problem that you had to overcome? Any inspirational story, anything related to this year, especially that you haven't maybe shared in the past that's worth mentioning? So, do I get to pick on people then?
I guess so, Michael. Go, Michael. Just pick on him. Pick
How about
on Marie.
Armando?
Pick on.
Okay, Marie. After Armando, Marie. Has there been anything this year that any example of this year?
Probably the best example I can think of is our transaction we completed at 9081 Suva Street. We started this escrow at the beginning of the year. It was a $1.1 million sale. And throughout the beginning of the year, as we were in the middle of the escrow process, COVID started. And this was right around the time where there was a lot of fear and unknowns about this whole pandemic. And even though we were in escrow, these buyers stopped returning calls. These buyers quit replying to text messages. And we have a time-sensitive transaction going here, but it's as if they picked up and moved away. They just weren't replying to any messages. And it took multiple attempts, multiple house calls. I even went to their place of business to try and find them. I had no luck getting a hold of anyone. I would leave notices on their front door. I would go at different times of the day. Many times I explained to them we were going to have to cancel, and that was okay. Just please sign the cancellations. That didn't happen. Almost a month went by, and there was finally a response from their daughter. And in a nutshell, the daughter said that they were indeed going to continue with the purchase. However, their business had gotten so busy throughout the COVID that they just weren't able to call me back. That was the excuse they gave me. They weren't able to call me back because their bakery had gotten so busy through the COVID and they were just so slammed with work. But here we are a month later, and yes, we're going to buy the house. It didn't stop there though. After I thought we were proceeding with the transaction, they started to do, like every buyer, research on their own, and they started realizing that home prices could potentially be dropping because of this pandemic, and they started to get cold feet on me. This is after almost 45 days in escrow and approximately $50,000 at risk. Buyers had removed all contingencies, and it was going to get real messy really fast. In the end, they decided to cancel. So I drew up the cancellations. They didn't want to proceed. And it wasn't until one of the last phone calls we had where I said to them, I understand your concerns about prices potentially going down over this COVID pandemic. Would you buy this house if I got you a $100,000 price reduction? And they immediately sparked up. They said, oh yeah, get me a $100,000 discount and I'll buy the house. And so I knew it was a real long shot, but at this point we had nothing to lose. And sure enough, I drew up the request. After a couple of weeks of going back and forth with the seller, they agreed to the price reduction. They got a $100,000 discount. we blamed COVID and we closed escrow. But that was a real roller coaster of about almost 65 or 70 days. One day we were buying it, the next day we were canceling. After I drew up the cancellations and I got them their price reduction, they ended up moving forward and closing escrow.
And you said they owned a bakery and you went to visit and it was out the door with patrons coming to buy food at their bakery, out the door.
Yes.
So we
they were slammed.
We knew it wasn't that they didn't have any business. So
right.
I have a similar story. And it's interesting because at the beginning of COVID, we really didn't know what was going to happen, but I sold a house on 5th Street, a fixer upper, and the buyer had $200,000 down, gave the seller the price he wanted. So we thought they were a very good buyer, but everything changed. Loan program that the buyer was going to go on totally disappeared. We had to add 2 co-signers. All of a sudden, the father of the buyer got COVID and died. Then my buyers both got furloughed and we couldn't get paycheck stubs to continue with the loan. It went on and on for about 3 months, and we had loan approval at one point, and then the lender took it away. So the buyers had removed contingencies. In the end, the buyers were so fed up, they had made major purchases, and we ended up having to pay off like $36,000 in escrow. We finally got it closed, but these are the things, like when you're an agent, you have to be persistent like Armando was, and you have to make it work, because I could have canceled it and we threatened to cancel and the buyer would have lost his deposit as well. But it's all about trying to understand which direction your escrow is going to go and if indeed it is going to happen. Right now I'm in escrow on one, and the people that are selling their house are moving out of the country to Canada. And I'm thinking they're getting away from the political atmosphere of the United States. So they're a young family, and we gave them a 45-day escrow because they were going to move out of country. And now they find out that their furniture has to be quarantined for 14 days, as well as themselves. And then I talked to the seller when we did our walkthrough on Saturday, and she says, you know, I'm having trouble packing. I said, what's the trouble? Well, when you're crossing borders, you have to take a picture of every single thing that's in the box. And you have to have an itemized list because Canada is going to tax you on everything you bring over. And you can't have anything with any price tags on it. And you have to label every box. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I guess we're not privy to that happen in the world, but you have to have an open mind and trying to work with people when they're really trying to get things done. And I mean, it's hard with this pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. So you have to be willing to put in the time, the work, and be understanding that, yeah, maybe your deadline or your contingency removal date, don't expect for it to happen.
Wow.
I had one where, and I think I sent Michael the picture, but
That's
the
Andy.
client-
Andy, that's you, Andy?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
the client, we went through 3 lenders to save this deal. And long story short, the first issue was she wasn't employed for 2 years. It was 19 months for one, and then, you know, so many months for the other. So we had to go find her employer, and this is right at the height of COVID, where, you know, who knows where the hell they were. So it took several weeks to find them just so that they can sign something saying that she worked for them. That was one thing. And then the next thing was a student loan issue that came up. And of course, all the student loan offices were closed. So that was an issue. And then once we finally get everything done, the appraiser comes. Well, he had already come out, and he called out the roof. And so that was kind of interesting. So we finally get that taken care of. The problem is when it came out and I met them there, the roofer, I literally was following him, talking to him. So I decided to go make a video inside the house. I go inside the house, 10 minutes max, come back out. He's on the other side. So everything's great. The appraiser comes back out and there's a giant hole in the roof where it's just the wood underneath. Like and he sends the lender and everyone a picture saying, I can't do anything with this. And this was a prior to this was a funding condition. So we had to hurry up and I called the termite people, have them come out. I'm literally following them to Home Depot. They get the roof on and then the appraiser comes out and then we finally were able to close it. But it was like, I was so over it. I was so over it.
What was the timing on that? When did that happen?
It happened, we were supposed to close on Friday. The appraiser went back out on Wednesday and saw that big hole. Michael, can you show them that? I don't know if they can.
That one?
Yeah, so there's the roof and then there's the big hole.
Wow. So is that the hole or is that repaired afterwards?
That's when they repaired it. They took the shingles off and just left it like that.
Wow.
And that was we were supposed to close on Friday and that happened on Wednesday. So I got them there at 6 in the morning on Thursday and he came back out.
What I meant by timing was, did it happen, like, was it in March, April, or was it recent?
I don't know when I closed that. I think that was like maybe
August, right?
April or May.
August.
Okay.
Was it August? Okay.
August or September. I remember going through that. I have one other tidbit of information
Mel.
because it happened to me yesterday. My buyers went to wire money and we couldn't get the wire out because Wells Fargo would only make appointments with them and made them wait outside. They waited outside for 2 hours and we missed the cutoff and couldn't get the money wired. So if your buyers have to wire money and it's with Wells Fargo, they better go a couple of days before because you do have to make an appointment with them because of COVID now.
Wow.
I had that early during COVID. We went into escrow on a transaction that was about the 20-something of March. So in the very early days of those things. And for the buyer to wire his deposit, his good faith deposit, he struggled because they had shut down the banks. They couldn't get in. At that point, they weren't even making appointments. So he had to call the manager of the bank who he worked with frequently as a business client. And they met him someplace and opened it up just so he could send that wire for his deposit. So thankfully, it seems like now things are a little more routine, but nonetheless, something comes up all the time.
So if they're going to shut the state down, Wells Fargo is going to make you make an appointment, just FYI, because that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm working with someone that's going through a credit union and they need to, at their credit union, they have to make an appointment.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask another question, Mom, or you got one?
No, whatever you want, Michael, go ahead.
Okay. So I think
You have to go to the door.
this is going to be a quick question. We always ask the question, but I'm going to ask it again. It's a quick question, like maybe a few words. Your number one and number two source of business.
Mike, Mel?
Number one and number two. Pam, go ahead.
Referral, and this year a lot of repeat.
Good. Referral and repeat. Okay. Andy,
If he wants more,
Soy
ask for
and
us.
my website.
website. Okay. That's a good thing. All right. Frank, where's business coming from?
As usual, referrals and past clients.
Okay. All right. Marie,
referrals and past clients.
referrals. I see a trend. Okay. Me, the answer is, yeah, 50% is referrals and past clients, and about 15% is Zillow and realtor.com. So, and and Armando's on the phone, and he would probably say the same. So, okay. All right, next question. And this, I'm going to start with a quick answer. This is an interesting one. 3 words or so that makes a good agent, and then we can expand on it after. Would you like to?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Ambition, tenacity, and follow-up. And I could add about 100 others, but I think you need to start with ambition. If you don't have ambition, forget it.
Okay. All right.
I want to answer.
Go ahead, please.
Hard working and committed. If you don't have stick-to-itiveness, is that a word? If you don't have that persistence and stick-to-itiveness, you get out of this business, because you have to be very persistent.
It's like being married, Rita.
Yeah, it's the truth. Do you remember the one year, Marie, when we looked at the panel and everyone on the panel had been married over 35, 40 years?
Yes, I remember.
So yeah, you have to have that commitment, just like marriage.
Wow. Anyone else?
Michael.
Andy? Pam?
Discipline.
Discipline.
I say committed as well. So discipline, committed, and then mine is a twofer because it's problem solver. So.
Okay. All right. Pam, same or anything new?
I took it a little bit different. For me, if it were a good agent, if I were viewing someone else as a good agent more than what makes a good agent, my description would be experienced and client focused. So experience doesn't have to mean you're new and you can't do it, but be around, grab some experience, learn some things.
That's excellent.
And the client focused, I'm seeing that a lot. I think we're doing, our industry seeing a bunch of like team building and how to scale your business. And I kind of think the client focus is starting to falter. Those that I encounter that their clients are their focus makes a good agent to me.
Okay. That's a good one. And
That is a good one.
Yeah, I was going to say problem solving. That wasn't said until Andy said it. I really do think what makes a good agent is someone that doesn't, that confronts problems the fastest they can. Frank, or
That's what I was going to say. The problem solving. If we don't have problems, we don't have a job. So that's what you have to be really good at.
It's true.
I think all of us more seasoned agents think that way.
Yeah.
That's because we've seen it for a long time, Marie.
That's right. Because when the easy one comes, they come and go, and you're like, wow, now what? But usually the seasoned agents are the ones that are dealing with all the problematic files that have multiple problems that aren't even related to real estate.
Correct. I haven't seen an easy one in a long time.
Okay, what else? Question. I'm thinking. So have you had to pivot in any way this year different? Besides the COVID stuff, is there any way that you've had to change anything you've done? And I guess a follow-up on that is, how do you see things changing? When it changes, what things do you think you may have to change in how you do business? That may be too loaded of a question, so I'm sorry. But
I think a lot of people loved getting a phone call because we are so used to texting and doing everything else that while everyone was at home, because they couldn't go out or do anything, just calling people and checking up on them and see, how things are going, how are they coping with it, and that just started a dialogue.
Okay. That's a good one.
To add to what Andy said, I had to really get sharp at selling over the phone because we weren't doing as much in person. And as much as everyone tries to convince you that you can text your way into lots of real estate transactions, you just simply can't. So it is important you're good on the phone, you're practicing those phone skills. There's so much emotion and you just can't really convey a message that well with a text message. you're dealing with real human feelings here. So it's critical you're good on the phone. And if you don't already, learn how to sell on the phone. You got to be able to lead your client to the solution. You got to feel comfortable. You got to know what you're doing. And you really have to learn that salesmanship. And this year, more than ever, that's been put to the test. So if there's been one pivot or one thing I really have focused on this year was getting really good on the phones.
It's very good. Very good.
To Armando, I think for me, I really realized this year how much power words have. And I think part of it has to do with that communication. And if you're talking to your clients on the phone, the conveying it with the emotion and helping them to get from A to B without texting can be so, this is what I meant. I'm gonna hit you over the head with a frying pan. You need to come to hard decisions. And it's much easier when you can talk your way through it. So my clients have still maintained the wanting to see and meet in person, even if it's like on the driveway or far apart or with their masks or whatever. So that's been a bit of a surprise. But to the rest of it, to talk to people and get them on the phone, that's super important this year.
Just as and this is veering off a little bit off subject, but it still has to do with a phone call. Personally, I think it's a best practice, agent best practices, not to convey bad news via text.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like telling them that they didn't get the property, like in a text. I just can't even imagine receiving that text. If that's something I really, really wanted. So you want to be able to kind of talk them off the cliff by talking to them saying, hey, you know what, this is what happened, but you know what, while we're still looking, we're going to submit a backup offer because these things fall out. Meanwhile, we'll continue looking, we'll find blah, 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 and maybe we'll find something that has insert whatever that house was missing that you know they needed. So
Yep.
Please communicate bad news and good news via phone call.
Yeah.
Because then you're connected, especially good news, you're connected to that good news.
Right.
One of the things that I've experienced this year has been agents that don't want to answer the phone. They only want to text. And like everyone's saying, you can't really convey what you're trying to express on a text. Or it could be, you know what you're trying to say, but it gets misread or misinterpreted. And it's just not good. We've had agents that we try to call and they text back, text only. To me, that is stupid, but anyway.
Well, I
I'll
don't
get
know
off the soapbox.
how COVID is going to affect the future, but I sort of like being a listing agent and getting the keys and being able to talk to people and schedule the appointments. You get to feel like which agent is really going to be real when they're writing an offer. I know it's a control issue that I have, but for the last couple of sales I've had, we've met every single person there at the house. We don't allow them to go in with a lockbox. And it's amazing. Like once you do that, they want to talk to you afterward when they're writing the offer and they are going to communicate with you. But the people that just seem to use showing time and, you know, like Frank said, just text me. They're just in it for a quick buck that they just want to send the offer. It's either going to get accepted or not. And they don't have enough in the game. Okay. You know, you can't even tell if they really want to make the money or not. They're just going through the motions. And I think that's what we're lacking now is that there's a lot of agents out there that don't understand. You do have to be there for your clients and you have to be in the game for them as well as for themselves. Because, you know, commission will come if you take care of your clients.
With regard to the listing, I mean, yeah, if you're able to see them face to face, you can figure out fast who's the good agent that you want to work with too.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I think that's why I came up with that client focused piece to it. It's really risen to the top this year to part of it for being on site when they show. I've seen that, but also when they're responsive or if they're really trying to get the deal together for their client, they're less likely to throw it out with the bathwater. They don't throw the baby out. They're just kind of, they work on it a little bit more. So I don't know how we find them, but it truly has become a difference. I think there's a lot of people just trying to, like we were talking about, scale stuff. Their assistants back in their office can generate the PEDs, they can generate the offers, you know, give them the details and off they go. I think the people kind of get lost.
Yeah.
Basically, what you're all saying is you're all saying we're going back to the way it used to be.
Yes.
It's the old fashioned caring, right, Marie? It's the old fashioned way of doing business that we had lost. And I think this year, because of everything happening, we've had to find it again. But the good agents, the top agents, I think, keep that in their arsenal at all times. So it's just a reminder for us this year. Am I right?
I try to do something today, going back to old school. I'll be submitted an offer and I asked the agent, because she was also an older agent, if it was possible to present the offer in person to the seller.
What'd they say?
She liked the idea, but the seller didn't want it.
Okay.
But I tried.
Oh, that's too bad.
Wish we would do that again. Those were the good old days.
I know.
Because if you can get in front of the seller and present your buyer, you have a much higher likelihood of getting your offer accepted.
Did you offer to do it via Zoom with the seller? I mean, because of COVID, that's understandable. They wouldn't want to be in a room with a stranger. So maybe try it with Zoom next time.
That's a new one. That's a new one, Frank.
That is.
You mean FaceTime?
Or Zoom.
Whatever.
Either whatever you have access or whatever they're comfortable with, because even with Zoom, their agent can be on the phone and in a remote place, and you can be there remotely. So it just reduces the contact.
That's interesting. Has anyone else done that?
Has anyone done that yet? Yeah, I'm curious too, Frank.
Nobody's asked to present an offer, but
I have not, but it's actually, yeah.
It's a good way to do it, so nothing falls through the cracks. Because you can always have your client offline, but bring them in if needed to the same way you're doing with texting or phone calls.
In other words, problem solving.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And thinking outside the box.
See?
You know, it's kind of an interesting conversation because so many of us are similar in that way. We're almost missing the people that maybe would argue that they are client focused, but they do things differently. I don't know. So I think this has been a year that I've reached out and sat in on a couple of like mastermind groups and people who do business differently than I do. Just to see how it is and kind of to see how their brains work. That's been interesting.
Yeah, I'm joining I don't know, not a mastermind, but I'm going on a webinar on Thursday and Friday that DAOR is having. So they got different agents talking about what they're doing. So I'll check it out. And it's actually available for all of us, actually. Okay, so one last question. It's a two-parter. It wasn't on our list, but if you have to dig back, I know we've asked this question before, and the interesting part is that we keep coming back to the same thing with the people on this line about past clients and things like that. But here's one question before I get to that last question. So if we can't do open houses right now, what's another way to drum up business that anyone is trying that's a little different if you can't meet with people at an open house? And I'm not saying necessarily like the alternative to an open house, but is there any other creative ways that people are trying to reach out to their actual clients, right? Since you can't really reach out to a stranger. Is there any way that you've been trying to reach out?
I'm a little confused with the question. Are you asking about drumming up new leads?
New leads or new business or even past business, either one. Any way you're trying to drum up business since open houses are no longer an option. That's one thing that's gone. for now. So is there anybody trying anything a little different?
Other than something like social media, Michael?
Okay,
Other-
other than social media. Sure, or social
Okay.
media.
Yeah,
Anything?
I would think,
anyone's trying
I
there?
would think that would be a substitute, wouldn't it?
That's true. That's true.
I think some of the things I've seen you do, where you're walking through a house, like the
Sure.
virtual open house, and you're taking everyone through it, right? I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was I thought that was good. I don't know if everyone's doing that, but
It's
I
interesting.
do
Not
pay
enough.
attention. No, I
little
think we
more-
need to do more.
Yeah, a little more focus on my block. So just around me, I figured those houses are good sources of potential business, not for them to move, but try to reach through them to their family, their sphere of influence. So without having to take on the whole world, I figured I can't get much closer to my own front door than my neighbors.
Mhm.
My last question is a two-parter then. It has to do with your advice to a new agent. It has to do with also where some of your initial sales came. And if there's any correlation to helping a new agent and some of the sales that you made in the beginning as to how a new agent today should be going about to get new business. Just throwing it out there.
In the
How-
beginning of their career,
In the
you
beginning
talking about
of our careers, yes.
Let me
Or in the beginning
do me
of
a
this
favor.
year.
I'm in a Zoom meeting right now.
No,
Let me give you a call
in
back.
terms of the beginning of your career as a new agent. None of us here are new agents that are on the panel. Where was your business in the beginning, and or how would you recommend a new agent to get business?
It's the same, I think,
Okay, that's fine.
as it was back then, just letting everyone know that you negotiate the terms for the purchase or sale of their house, or someone that they know. I had and I think I was telling Pam, when I had the North Hollywood condo, I had a non-open house, which is basically an open house, but everyone had a PED form, and like she had the, blank PED forms for people to fill out. There's still, even when I go to open houses with buyers, I see people kind of hanging out wanting to see the property who live in the area. So I don't know why we're not I don't know if we could still, do this, but why we're not, building off of that as well. So they still can host the non-open house for the agents that have several listings. The difference is a PED and they're with their agents, but I've gotten some people who come in and liked my personality and didn't feel like they were getting anywhere with their agent and pivoted. So, and then of course your Facebook is your entire database, your social media.
Right.
Well, I was gonna say, as in Smart Start, we always say the first people you should contact as a new agent is always your sphere of influence and people that you know. And no matter how much we harp on that, nobody wants to do that. But they're the best people to practice on, people that you know when you're a new agent. And for every deal you have, you should be getting one referral. It's not impossible. You have to ask for it. So if you have a deal and you're a new agent, it's like that Paul Mitchell commercial. You should be getting one referral. And then that person should be able to give you one referral. And that's how your business is going to increase. Because you need to plant the idea in your sellers and your buyers' head. You just can't think they're going to call you, because they don't.
Right. So, but to do that, you do have to be, you can't wait for it to come. You do have to be aggressive.
Yeah, and you do have to go to your soy. I mean, there's lots of people that have huge families with tons of relatives, aunts, uncles, and cousins that, I mean, there are people out there that want to buy still. So
Right.
That's, if I was a new agent, I would definitely, and plus it's always easier to deal with someone that you know or sort of know
Right.
than it is a complete stranger.
Yep. Okay. Anyone else? Otherwise, I want to read a couple comments. Okay.
I'd like to add maybe
Armando.
for,
Go ahead.
Armando.
yeah, just as a new agent, I remember at least personally when I started real estate, I had the hope and dream, like many of us do, about flexible hours and large commissions, and you get to pick and choose your own schedule. And it wasn't until I started really doing this full time that I realized, although you don't have to punch a time clock in real estate, it is very demanding and the work is never ending. Realtors do wake up every morning unemployed. If you don't have anything in escrow, you're 30 days out from a paycheck. And it wasn't until I started to adapt that mindset that I really started to dig deep within me to create good habits and create a successful business for myself. But I feel like if I could tell my 19-year-old something or give myself advice, just, don't be opposed to hard work. Real estate sales is a ton of work. And even then, sometimes you don't get paid in the end. There is no such thing as health benefits. I thought for some reason the office gave benefits when you joined, and that obviously is not the way it works. There's the flexible hours aren't so flexible. And yeah, there's just going to be a lot of work involved. And those that think real estate is like, those $1 million real estate TV shows, is furthest from the truth. So, if you,
but Armando, there is flexibility. You don't have to ask your boss.
that's
Can
true.
I go to
Absolutely.
my daughter's school, whatever? Right now we can't.
Right.
I mean, you have flexibility, but that doesn't mean you don't work. The flexibility is you can do things that other people with an actual boss can't necessarily do, but
Right.
there is flexibility, and keeping that, always keeping that in mind is important.
Absolutely. You can escape for an hour or two to go watch your kids play or whatever the case is. And that part is nice. I just find that we're working when the client isn't. And guess what? That's evenings, weekends, holidays. And if you're not mentally prepared to not have a life on the weekend from about 10 to 5 p.m., it can be very challenging to make a level of income that's going to sustain you and your family for many years to come. And so that is probably something I've taken away from my career is, again, hard work is constant. You shouldn't be opposed to hard work. And, your day-to-day is going to involve talking people off the ledge, and you keep your fingers crossed that the deal closes and your commission comes, and you're rewarded for your hard work. But I also find that this is what I love to do. There isn't another career out there that has a direct correlation from how hard you work to how much money you make. The income level here is limitless. And I can't think of another, career that offers that. There's actually very few jobs left in America that are commission-based jobs only. And we're one of the last people standing. So all of us fellow professionals are really great humans on this planet.
Yeah.
Just piggybacking off of what he said, and I've said this before, a lot of agents, especially new agents, if you're going to do this full time, what's full time? Like, are you going to put in like you would a regular 9 to 5? Is it going to be 8-hour days, or are you going to come goof off, chat for like, an hour and a half, make a call here and there? Like, even for myself, if you see me chatting for 20 minutes, I'm going to make that up on the back end as far as work. If you want part-time money, work part-time. If you want full-time money, work full-time. If you want overtime money, work overtime.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Pam always says something to me. Pam, say what you always say to me about real estate.
Well, to Rita's point, I've been around this industry almost as old as I am. And when I was younger, I realized real estate is not a job, it's a lifestyle. So even though I was sitting down to dinner with my mom and my dad, my mom might get up to take that phone call because it was a client and you never knew what was going to happen. Or learning how to answer the phone as a little kid because that's the way it went to not be like a little kid. You know, they directed the phone calls there so someone didn't steal the client. But it's really a lifestyle. You have to be willing to take that call on the way to the airport. You have to be able to take that call while you're with friends someplace else and step out and miss like the punchline, miss the best of whatever. But you just got to know that's what it is. It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
That's true. I'll add to that. You know, when you're in real estate, if you're doing it right, you're never on vacation. You're just away. I was gone Thursday through Monday. I was with my family. We went up to Mammoth, and I had my laptop with me. My phone's always on. I'm always working when need be, and that's where the flexibility comes in. You're not really off. You're just away. That is a lifestyle.
Good. Yep.
We work more when we're in Italy than when we do here. Makes no sense.
That's the other thing that's happened, at least with me in my career. Every time I have a trip planned, that's when I get busy.
That's always been, Frank?
Go away, Frank.
The truth?
Yeah, there is Damien. I do have to say, it's been a pleasure the last couple of months or so. Damien has joined me and we've teamed up and we've done really well. He's doing very well. Those of you that don't know, he was here with the office for about 10 years or so, 10 years ago. And now he got his license.
He was a long time, and we thought we'd never get rid of him, but now I'm glad he's back.
I'm back.
So
And he was another child that I hired. How old were you? Were you 17?
17.
he was
Yeah.
17. I recruited him to come work at the front desk when he was 17 years old.
Rita also told me, Andy, that I have the it factor.
You did? I said that? No, I don't think I said that.
So the it factor to answer the phone.
Yeah. All right.
Pretty funny. You always made me laugh, Damien. Always.
Try my best.
You always made me laugh.
Okay, so I'm going to read a couple comments and then we can get going here. So Elisa mentioned, yeah, you can maybe send a video with your offer and ask the agent to present it. That's a good idea. So if you text the agent a video or if you post it and you email a link for them. Andy mentioned some sellers don't want letters in person or anything. They just want the numbers. That is true. That is true. So, but anyways, well, good stuff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, panel. Congratulations on another great Veterans Day panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Michael? Go.
Yes.
Close it out.
Closing. Goodbye. Okay.